You can't delegate work because it's all inside your head. I know you've heard this a million times, but on this episode, I'm actually going to dive into what you can do to actually make the changes so you can start delegating work inside of your company. But before we get into that, the first thing that you need to know is that ego is truly in your way right now. I see so many home remodelers that are amazing on their own at creating things with their hands. They're able to make amazing bathrooms, showers, kitchens, but that skill set doesn't transfer to the next person. And the biggest reason why is because it's not done the way that they want it done. And to a certain extent, I get it completely. You're a business owner. You're a perfectionist as a remodeler. You want everything to look just right. And I would say that 1% of your clients are really going to see those little imperfections that you see. And I'm not saying that you should make your quality lesser just because you're not the one on it, but really it's an ego thing. And it's a perfectionist thing too, that you aren't allowing your team member to be able to do that job. Now again, quality should be top notch. You should be concerned about quality. But the way that your team goes about it is not necessarily what matters. They can do it in a different way. Now, of course, there's obviously processes in there that you have to do in a certain order. But if they decide to mix the concrete left to right instead of right to left, going clockwise versus counterclockwise, that's should not be an issue. I don't see how that could be an issue at all. But for you, that's not the way you do it. So and again, that's a silly example, but you're getting mad because they're not doing it clockwise and they're doing it counterclockwise, or they're using their left hand instead of their right hand, but they're not doing it the way that you want them to do it. And so the first reason why you are not able to delegate is because you are letting your ego get in the way. You think that nobody else can do it better than you. If somebody does something even 80% as well as I do it, and I'm not touching it, that is phenomenal. That is way better than me having to do 100% of it myself. I would rather go in, spot check, come up and clean up behind somebody versus having to do all the work. Because that means then I can go focus more on my business. Your perfectionist and egotism get in the way. The second thing is really, you have everything up here in your head, the process, through and through. And so there's two ways to go about this. One, you have somebody watch you, and then you have them do it while you watch them, and then you have them do it, or you have them then teach you what they're doing. So they watch you. You watch them, they teach you, to make sure that they understand it fully and they're not skipping steps. On that third one especially, you are not going to talk at all. You're going to let them do it, go through and explain it, and make them go through the whole thing. It's going to be awkward, it's going to be slow, but that's the way that they can really learn. The other side of this is using AI. Don't sit here and try and write everything out on hand. You're not going to remember every step. So what you can do, and don't try and type it either, talk into your phone about whatever the process may be that you're typically doing. And as you're talking through that process, all this information is going to be there. And so you just talk through the process, and you can tell Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI software you want to use. And then you start talking through what that process is. And I always like to say, here's what I want to do. Then I go through and talk about that process, talking through it, step one. And I don't say step one, step two. I just talk about here's exactly what I would do, how I would set it up. And then at the end, I say, I want this in a format that's going to be very easy to read, that does give detail, but also has bullet points to it. So they can look at the bullet points really quick of steps 1 through 3, 1 through 10, whatever. But then they can also get the detailed description as well. And let the AI run with it. And then you go and touch up from there, because there's going to be things that you forgot to say. So you're going in there and fixing some of that. But again, It's doing 90% of the work. You're going in and do the final touch-ups just to make sure it looks right. And then you can start that process of, let me show you how to do it. Then you do it while I watch you and tell you how to do it. And then you teach me how to do it. You can have them walk through that thing and follow it step by step. And then as they're doing it, and if they're about to miss something, you can say, well, what are you doing here? And they're like, hey, I'm just following the steps. That means you missed a step, and you can go and add that in. So maybe you write a little note there and go add that in. So that's the way that I like to really almost handhold, but also create SOPs at the same time for any job that I'm trying to hand off to somebody else. And the third thing, and this really goes back to your ego, is letting them own it. I can't tell you how many times that when I've actually let a team member own a process, own a particular job, how much better it's been in the end. I'll give you an example with social media. So I have somebody on my team that's doing social media, and at first they were wanting to try and take ownership, but they weren't kind of understanding things, and I was really wanting to give it over to them, but I had to take the time to explain what our services are, what objectives that we're trying to do, where we're trying to go, and then really create an SOP for them, a guideline of what they can and can't do. And once I was able to create that, I emphasized the ownership aspect to them. And I told them, within 30 days, by the end of this month, I expect that you are going to own this process. And I gave them that deadline, but I let them know that I want them to own it. Because a lot of times when you're delegating to employees, they think that you still own it. They don't think that they own it. And so that's probably one of the biggest keys so I can delegate it, is actually giving that ownership to the other person, letting them own the complete process and own the final result as well. Too often when we delegate, we kind of just halfway give something. It's the same thing we do with employees. But when you actually have them own it and tell them what does ownership look like, what is completion look like, they're able to actually take that on, and they're going to take pride in that job or that task that you've given them. So the three things that help you with delegation: 1, stop the perfectionism and get rid of your ego. Number 2 is to create a process, a standard operating procedure with AI. Show your person how to do it. Have them show you how to do it while you walk them through it. And then have them try and teach you how to do it, or follow the SOP that you had so you can correct that as you're going. And then finally, give them ownership so they can truly own that process and know what the outcome is supposed to be. And if you need help with delegation, if you have any questions on it, I'd love to be able to help you talk through that. Just DM me over on Instagram at I am Philip Sessions.